one can see this, but what I have for you today is the following. I thought it'd be good to kick off with a baseline introduction of how things have evolved from 10 years back when you had more simpler content management solutions or web content management solutions as we knew it back then, to what we refer to today as web content and experience management solutions, and really what the shift is and what that shift means to all of us, right? Thereafter, I was hoping to dive into talking about packet selection specifically, and again, kind of talking about how we used to do this earlier and probably how we need to do this now and going forward. After which, I'm going to present a potential framework which at least we believe is a more effective way of executing a packet selection exercise for such a solution. And then finally, walk through what we're calling some best practices, or as we are referring them to here, key mantras, which are really guidance to keep in mind as you work through that process, and particularly if you're part of a team that is recommending a particular package for a web content management implementation. This could be quite relevant to you. And finally, we'll sum it up with questions and feedback. All right, so if you think about web content management solutions as we used to look at them several years back, it was really as simple as this. If you're looking at slide number 5 right now, essentially what you were trying to do is build a website, right? It could be abc.com or anything, and behind that website you probably had a bunch of layers which were the ability to author content for that website, the ability to publish content to that website, and the ability to deliver content to that website, right? And within those, fair enough, you had some building blocks, so you did have the ability to say, fair enough, do I have the ability to manage different content types and content items, take them through workflow, manage them through a publishing process, and then get them out to a delivery system of pages and components and templates, right? And for those of you who come from a background with any content management solution, you probably are very well versed with this way of doing it, which is the classic content authoring, publishing, and delivery layer. So that's how we used to approach this type of a solution back then. Now, what has changed today, if you think about it, is that really the method in which this content is used has changed significantly, right? Today, we're really using this content to drive what we call engaging experiences, right? And so while the basic layers remain the same, you still need an authoring, a publishing, a delivery layer, and you're still trying to push out content to a website, so that part didn't change. But a number of other things happened, so let's walk through them, right? Firstly, the number of channels that you're trying to publish this content to suddenly exploded, right? You probably have multiple websites that are owned by the brand or by the company themselves. These could be regional websites such as US, Europe, and Asia Pacific. They could even be specific product websites. You also have the mobile channel that you're trying to deal with. You have the social channel where you're trying to reach audiences on Facebook and Twitter and several other places. Plus, you're trying to engage users in conversations, right? And then, of course, you have even display channels, if you think about it, right? Which are things like kiosks and other methods where you're using the same content, but to drive an engaging experience around that, right? So that's one thing that happened. The other thing that happened is that, what we call content has suddenly changed a lot, right? If you think about content 10 or 20 years back, you would think about it as informational text, perhaps some marketing content, perhaps some data, etc. Today, content has a much wider meaning, right? We're looking at content as a summation of several different things, which could include product catalog content, even rich media assets such as images, videos, and other media forms. And more importantly, social content and user-generated content in the form of comments, blogs, posts, discussions, and literally everything else. And then finally, campaign content that marketers are trying to use to drive conversion, right? And collectively, all of that has resulted in this content management solution really resulting in driving what we refer to as a multi-channel experience, right? On the one hand, customers want these multi-channel experiences, and they want to be engaged with the content wherever they are, on whichever device they are. On the other hand, you've got marketers who are really asking the question of, well, how do we create these experiences, right? And hence, really, that's where the shift from a simpler CMS or a WCM solution to a web content and experience management solution really starts to happen. So if you kind of try and define the purpose of a WCM solution or WCXM solution, it'll probably come down to some of these things.